So it's evening. My day's drawing to an end. I've been working. It's been hot today. Didn't get half done what I wanted to get done. Never seem to. It's like not enough hours in the day. But this evening, I've just been kind of doing some reflection, and there were some things that came to my mind, and it's something I just kind of want to take a minute and share with you. So if you're having struggles right now dealing with death, if you've had a death recently in your family and it's pretty tender, you might not want to watch this video right now, because I am going to share about the day that my father passed away, and just one of those life lessons that kind of got reinforced to me on that day. So you can click off the video right now if you think that's going to be too much. And if not, if you're still with me, my parents lived with my husband and I the last few years of their life, and we took care of them. We had built an addition onto our home so they could have their own home attached to our home. And I loved having them here. My husband loved having them here. We definitely were all very happy together. I mean, we had our moments, anybody does. But my mom passed away a few years, or 2 years before my dad. And then my dad, he had quite a few health problems there towards the end of his life. He was 88 when he passed away. He had kidney disease and heart disease and diabetes that he wasn't letting anybody treat, and just, I can't even remember all the things. But the main thing that we really struggled with the most was he had Alzheimer's, and he'd had it for probably at least 10 years. And he had gotten where a lot of his memory was gone. He would get confused easily and all, and he definitely missed my mom after she was gone. They were absolute best friends. And one day I will share the day that my mom went home to be with the Lord, because it was beautiful. It really was. It was beautiful. But with my dad, it was a little different. So he had been, he had a lot of balance issues with Alzheimer's, and so he fell quite a bit. And he had fallen a couple of days before in his closet. He had a big walk-in closet, and he had gone in there. He had a little chair in there and a dresser and his clothes hanging up and everything. So it kind of was his little dressing room where he could go to, and I would lay his clothes out for him, and then he'd go in there and be changing his clothes. And he hadn't, I think it was in the evening, he was getting ready for bed. Yeah. And it was taking him a little long. And so I kind of hollered out to him, Dad, is everything okay? And there wasn't an answer. And so I had gone ahead and opened the door, pushed it open the rest of the way into the closet, and he was laying on the floor. He had fallen. Well, he didn't remember falling or anything. And so my husband and I were able to get him up, and we got him in, up onto the side of his bed. He didn't seem to be hurt really bad. He wasn't upset or anything, nothing. He said he had no pain and just a couple little cuts. And so we cleaned him up and put Band-Aids on him. And yeah, it was evening, because he said, I just want to go to bed. And we didn't feel we needed, look, if you've ever dealt with somebody with dementia that has these issues, you're not going to be calling an ambulance every time they fall, or you're being calling multiple times in a day. You can't call over every little thing. It's just, there's a lot of things you learn to deal with. And so, we did like the doctors would say, if he really needs, some kind of emergency care, and he had do not resuscitate orders on him anyway. But if he really needed something, the doctor's like, he'll be panicked, something, and you'll know you need help. But you just have to kind of not sweat the small stuff, kind of like when your kids are little, they're going to fall, they're going to get bumps, they're going to get bruises, and it's okay. You clean them up and give them a kiss, and on you go. So he went to bed that night. Well, I kept checking on him in the night, and he seemed to be sleeping just fine, and everything was good. And the next morning, I went in to lay out his clothes for him, see if he was wanting to get up, and he's like, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to get up. And I said, oh, you just going to stay in bed today? And he goes, yeah, I think I am. And so I'm like, Dad, do you really think you're okay? Should we go see the doctor? Or what? Oh, no, I'm okay. I just think I just think I'm going to stay in bed for the rest of my days. And I'm like, you're going to stay in bed for the rest of your days? And he's like, yeah. Well, this was Saturday, and it was the weekend. So, I was like, and at this point with things that I had to deal with him, it was kind of like you're always being agreeable to everything you could. And so it's like, well, okay, if that's what you want to do, we'll call the doctor on Monday, because they can make arrangements for doctors to come out here, and nurses, and do home visits and do all, the little things you need. And he's like, well, I don't need any doctors anymore. And I said, well, yeah, you kind of do. We need to keep an eye on things. And, and I go, we'll worry about it Monday. And everything's fine. So he's like, okay. Well, he would get up to go to the bathroom, but that was it. Then he'd go back to bed. Didn't really want to eat. Didn't really want to drink. And when I look back now, that hindsight thing, it's like I should have recognized maybe what was happening. But he would do things like this sometimes. It's like all the rules changed with Alzheimer's from what you're used to dealing with. They changed. And my dad was such a little boy at this point. They kind of revert back in age. He was the sweetest little boy, the most loving man. And I've got a lot of stories that I want to share about my dad, especially the last few years of his life, because he was amazing. He was amazing. And I miss him horribly. I miss my mom and dad both. And that's kind of what's going on tonight, kind of reminiscing about mom and dad. But anyway, I had checked on him, and kept going in all day long, and making sure everything was okay. And most of the time he was just wanting to nap. He wasn't bored or anything. He didn't want to see TV. He was fine, just fine. So I remember I went in that night to tell him goodnight before I went to bed. And it was about 11:30 when I finally was like, I think I'm going to go try and sleep for a few hours, and then I'll probably be up to check on him. And I was like, Dad, are you okay? Oh, yeah, he was okay. And we had a nice little chat, and, and talked about how much we loved each other, and how much he missed Mom, and how thankful he was for my husband, because he was like a son to him and so good to him, and taking care of him. And, and he's like, you and Marvin have just been so good to me. I just don't deserve it, and he'd go on. And he had a tendency, you would hear the same conversation over and over with him. And so then he finally was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go to sleep. And so I'm like, okay. And I gave him a kiss on the forehead, good night, and tucked him in. And I had started to leave to go to bed. And I just had this feeling, I think I'm just going to sit with him for a while. So I pulled a chair back over by the side of his bed. And I sat there and watched him sleep, and just thanked the Lord for him. I was very blessed with the parents I had, very, very blessed. And so, it was okay. And then around midnight or a little thereafter, I was like, I think I'm okay now. And I just kind of told him I loved him, and gave him another little kiss on the forehead, and I went to bed. Well, the next morning was Sunday, and by this point, my husband was, he'd go to church without us because Dad couldn't handle going out, especially in the morning. His days and nights would get mixed up, and he'd be so confused. And so in the morning, I always had to make afternoon appointments for him, because in the morning it was no good at all. And that was his biggest struggle of the day. And so I had to quit going to church because I had to stay with him. All we had was my husband and I. We didn't have anybody else that could come and help or anything. So I was with my dad pretty much 24/7 for about 3 years. And so anyway, yeah. So I got up, and, and my husband was up, and he was getting ready for church. And I go, I'm going to go check on Dad. And he's like, okay. And it was a funny thing. So as I stepped in through the doorway that went into the addition where his room was and stuff, I knew he wasn't there. I could feel the absence of him. It was the oddest thing. And I thought, oh no, he got up in the night. I'm looking at the doors, did he go outside? Is he in the woods? Because we live in woods, and, where is he? Did he go down the road? I was starting to feel this panic, and I was calling out to him, and I could see the covers pulled back on his bed. and he wasn't in his bed. And I'm like, oh, and I just started to panic a little more. Then I looked in the closet, but he wasn't in there. But he had been, because he had turned the light on. And then I could see the light was on in his bathroom. And so I went and called out and called out and called out, and there was no answer. And I did not want to open that door. But I had to. And so I opened the door. And as soon as I saw him, I knew he was gone. It was really, really hard. There was so many feelings that I had. One, I was like, I didn't get to say goodbye. I wanted to be with you when you left, and I didn't want you to be alone. And then it was like, but he wasn't alone, Angie. I was with him, and I'm hearing the Lord. It's all okay. It's okay. It's okay. But so I went and I came back to our side, and was, calling for my husband. And I'm like, Dad's gone. Dad's gone. He goes, what do you mean he's gone? I'm like, he passed away. I know he's gone. And so my husband comes running, and, and he checks him too. And he'd been gone for a while. And so then we had to start doing all the things you have to do, make the calls and all the different people that come in, and everybody was so wonderful about it. And it did something to my heart, not just emotionally, but physically. For several months, I started struggling with extremely low blood pressure, and a lot of it just because I was in shock for how things went. But here's the lesson. You never know how long somebody's going to be here. I thought my dad was going to be here a few more years. I didn't know that we were at that point. My mom even, when she passed away, she had cancer, and they told us, oh, she's probably got a good 6 months still, if she doesn't do treatments, because she didn't want treatments, but she'll probably give you a good 6 months. And so she came home, and we thought we were going to do all these things. She had 30 days. Thing is, life is really fragile. And if there's one thing we've all got in common, it's we're going to die one day. This does not go on forever. We're not going to be here. I know that today I'm coming to the end of the day. That's one more day gone out of my life that I'll never have back. I have one less day left to live, to do whatever it is that I need to do yet in life. And when a person passes away, when they die, if you've experienced that with somebody that you're close to, you realize how final it is. That there is no, I get to tell them I love them one more time. There is no more asking, now what was that story about your childhood, or it's just at that moment, that's it. It's done. And it drives home to me every time I lose somebody I love, and I've lost a lot of people that I love. But every time I lose another person I love, it's like, don't take it for granted. Don't take for granted the time you have with somebody. If you love someone, if you care about them, if you're thinking, I should just give them a call today, see how they're doing, give them the call. Don't say, I'll do it tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised to us. People say that. Old people say that all the time. It is true. It's not promised to us. The last time you see somebody may be the last time you see them. Well, of course it would be the last time, but you don't know that that's the last time, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is when you see someone, it may be the last time you're ever going to see them again. And so don't waste time. Don't let things be undone, unsaid. We don't always get warning. With my mom, we were much more prepared. We knew she was going to die. We knew we were at that point. And when we got home, we knew she didn't have 6 months, but we made the most of every day that we had. She and I, we sang together, we prayed together, we talked about things. She shared a lot about, her excitement that she was going to be going home to be with the Lord. I've never seen anybody so excited about dying as my mom was. It wasn't that she wanted to leave us or anything, but she's like, this is it, isn't it? Like, I'm really going to go home now. Like, I finally come to the end of my journey, and I'm going to get to rest because I am so tired. And It just was a completely different situation. So today, whoever it is that you love, that you need to go give them a hug, give them a kiss, call them up, tell them how much they mean to you, whatever. Don't put it off. Don't put it off. I miss my parents. They've both been gone. My mom's been gone, 5 years, and my dad almost 3 now. I miss them every day. I still sometimes I think I'll just pick the phone up. I need to call my mom, and oh yeah. Yeah, I don't have that kind of long distance on my phone plan. Can't call her up. Can't do that. So don't waste another day, another hour, or another minute. All right? And let's just be loving to each other. Let's let the hurts and the pains and the anger and the upset, let it go. And let's love each other. Let's forgive each other, love each other, and enjoy the time we have. Okay? All right. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you will. Share the videos with people, that you think maybe it would mean something to them. Hit the notification bell so you know when my next video comes up tomorrow. And you have a great day. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.